Oh, back from the road. It's sweet to be home. Welcome into another episode of McKale Madness. The homies are back. I'm Saul. That's Corey. And glad to have you on another episode this week after another road win. So that's 2 in the last 2 games. And they're coming back home at home again. I will say I'm a little out of breath because somebody forgot their hat. And when I did the open, I had to go sprint to the room to come back. And so I'm trying to get my wind up. It's been a long day. I was at the Phoenix Open all day today. And
Is that right?
It was a long day. So.
I'm headed up. I think I'm headed up there tomorrow.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've never been, so I don't know what to expect. So I've never been. So
okay. Well, if you got an extra ticket for your boy, I will gladly walk you through, because I will say this: it is not for the weak, and you are going on one of the 2 days that are considered the party days.
Okay,
that's what's up. I'm telling you, man, it's
I'm gonna go up there and see what I can do.
It is the scene. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
What's up? I like that.
So anyway, it was a scene up at ASU, and you know what? I thought, instead of Corey and I leading the show off talking about how it is to go on the road and get these big dubs, and how really this is McKale North, and then it's McKale North in Vegas and Tempe and all. So like, that's our hometown. Like, that's what we do. We dominate these other areas. I figured we would just rip a page from a great interview that Kevin and Damon did with Ivan Karchenkov and let him lead off the show.
Oh, it's lovely. It happened a couple times this year. First game of the year in Vegas. McKale North. It was great. Hearing the U of A chants. Or what was it? In Alabama, where all of the Alabama fans were left and only the U of A fans stayed. That was something special. And just at ASU. At their place, making our own home. It's just great. I'm just so grateful for our fans, traveling so far, and supporting us, even if they're not, as many as the opposing team's fans are.
I mean, listen, the indoctrination is complete. Okay. When the European comes to Tucson and calls Vegas McKale North, that it is now come full circle. It is embedded, and he knows what it's all about, which is great to see. Listen, one of the things I think everybody's loved about Ivan Karchenkov is just how much he has been very prideful about being a University of Arizona Wildcat, just like all of us, right? And that's hey, we've been dominating on the road for a reason, and it's because of guys like that.
Yeah, I mean, it comes full circle, and it's nice, just a little over 20 games in his whole career. He understands the importance of the Arizona crowd. He appreciates it, and he understands what it's like to travel. And having played European ball, I'm sure he's witnessed some pretty feisty crowds as well. But to show the respect for the tradition and appreciate the fans, that's a lot of depth, and it was nice to hear that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about, listen, they got a road win up at Provo. We talked about that last week. And then they go to Tempe, and, listen, just like the first game, it was kind of neck and neck. And, Arizona, one could maybe make the argument that they were playing with their food a little bit, but I also thought that it's a rivalry. It goes back and forth. It's not going to be clean all the time. And I think that first half kind of represented that. But as what happened in the first game, Arizona was able to make the adjustments because they have the players and the personnel to be able to do that. And they came out in the second half and they took control and dominated. And that's what you expect from this team.
I saw things a little differently. I saw Arizona State play. What was the score at halftime? Was it tied or one?
It was tied.
Tie score at halftime. So now I'm looking at 60 minutes worth of basketball, and Arizona State's played neck to neck with Arizona. They lost by 7 in McKale. And I'm sitting there in my hotel room and I'm watching this tie score at halftime. And I remember telling you, whatever's the score at halftime, that's going to be what's going to happen for the rest of the game. And it was about 9 minutes to go. Arizona was up 6. And for the first time, I give Arizona credit. They made some plays, but I was specifically watching Arizona State's offense. And they completely collapsed. They fell apart. Bad shots. They were already holding on by a thread because they had so much foul trouble on the inside. Their bigs couldn't touch anybody. At the end of the game, they had to the last 8 minutes, they had to let us score because they had 4 fouls. So Arizona wore them down and put them in a position where it's either foul out or give us layups. It literally is like an arm wrestling match. When you get them and you're about to pin them, that's how Arizona had them like at 9 minutes to go, and they just knocked them over. But I saw something I hadn't seen all year from Arizona State, which was they just let go of the rope. And against Arizona, it went from 6 to 15 like that. And credit Arizona for staying tough. But for people that were, oh, we're going to kick them, but no, it was tied at halftime. And I was sitting on the edge of my bed in the hotel, nervous as hell, like, man, please don't let this foul trouble. Crevis with 4 for an extended stretch. Toby played unbelievably well. Toby Awaka is the reason we won that game. Make no mistake about it. But the fact that we were one player deeper than they were, it was literally the 15-point difference in the game. And I was wrong because I thought it'd be tight to the end. Arizona kind of put their foot on the gas the last 8 minutes of the game. And they did post the double digit. I'm not a guy who follows spreads. I hate that stuff. But turns out, did they cover? I think they even covered. What was it, 15? Something like that?
I don't know.
I can't remember. They ended up winning by 13, 14, 15 points. A comfortable margin, but that game was decided in a 6.5, 7 minute span. So tough road win.
To your point, it was a 7-point game with 8 minutes left to go. Okay. So we're going to that timeout. And, hey, listen, it was a little dicey there. But then Kurchenkov makes the 3-pointer. That put him back up to 10.
That was it.
And then Job made a little layup, but then after that, Arizona went on a run. It kind of put the game away. And so I could see what you're saying, but I will say this: even sitting there, I always felt like, just like in the first game, that it was going to take a pretty big effort by somebody, right? And we thought it might be Mo Odom. But then Mo Odom got in foul trouble and he got his 4th and he had to come out.
Bobby sat him for a long time.
Yeah, and I thought that was the moment that it was going to be put away. And Arizona did everything they could to put it away. Burries went on a little bit of a run, and they extended that lead to double digits, but then ASU found a way to come back. But then Koa, I really felt like Koa was also the other reason why. Like, he was just playing aggressive. He hit that 3-2. And got that second check against ASU, and which, listen, everybody's like, oh, somebody, man, I swear we're going to have a segment next year, just off the wall stuff that some fans say, and I'm just screenshot it and put it up here. But somebody was just like, I can't trust Koa in these big games because he's constantly immature and getting technical fouls. I was like, bro, he's got 2 all year long, and it's against the school that was recruiting him heavily in his own backyard. I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. It's fine because I know he can control himself.
I would tweak your statement. I excuse it and understand it, but I'll never be okay with it because you gotta have that emotion up to the point where it benefits your team and not beyond. I did a game last night where Georgia Tech clawed its way back from down 14. They're up 1. Kid makes a layup and starts barking and gets hit with a tee, and it just killed the momentum, and the Cal surged ahead and ended up winning the game. And you're like, I understand you want the fire and the intensity, but the other thing about it is he's a freshman. I mean, he's literally have 2.5 more years of this before anybody expects him to behave differently. So I don't think it's a big deal. I think, people watch these games and they're on edge and they nitpick about every little thing. I don't think it's a big deal. I think you're right. I mean, given the backstory, him being from the Valley, him being heavily recruited, him choosing the school down the street, and then coming in there and putting in work, yeah, he's going to be hyped because I'm sure there was all manner of trash talk being yelled at him throughout the game. So I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it either. And, Corey, we were talking heavily about, I mentioned Burries earlier and then now Koa. And Koa's performance has been, I wouldn't say up and down. I think it's been pretty consistent. And then he'll have these little outliers where, he'll get 20, 24, but usually he's about that 15 to 16 range. And then he'll get you, 5 to 8 boards. And that's kind of where he's been all year. Right. Then you look at Braden Burries, who at the beginning of the season, slow start. And then now in the last 2 months has really picked it up and has played some really good basketball, really controlled basketball, but also picking and choosing his spots to attack in a very aggressive manner, which I love. You need that. You need those dogs. Burry seems like he's found that dog in him again, and he's going hard at it. And then Ivan Karchenkov, right? Like, I know at the beginning of the season we were talking, if we took you all the way back to episode 1, Corey had said that if we could get a combination of 22 points and 9 rebounds between at the time it was Aristode, Burries, and Pete, then we would be okay. And in that moment, I was like, well, Karchenkov's probably going to start. Listen, we got it. I think we had to educate you on the European flavor that was coming to town, baby. You know what I mean? So,
we're not gonna sit here and act like we knew he was about to be nice. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that. Kevin got to roll the tape. I need to see.
We knew, Corey. We knew.
We were saying you knew, and then showing me some tape of you saying it. Those are two different things.
Kevin, listen. We did a draft, Corey. We did a draft. Okay, Kevin, Damon, and I did a draft. And I picked Ivan Karchenkov like number 2 overall, right behind. No, actually, I'm sorry, 3 overall. And I got Jaden Bradley and I got Krivas. I smoked these dudes in this draft. It wasn't even close. Okay. But what I'm saying is that those 3 guys, and we could pull up the stats that were just flashed a little bit ago, combined, they're averaging about 40 points and 14 rebounds, which is almost double in points almost. And then, a higher tick on the rebound. And then plus you add in the assists, 8 assists a game. And I think all 3 of those guys are versatile all the way around. And when you look at the percentages, points wise, that's about 40% of their points output for the team. And then the rebounds are about 33%. And then if you throw in the assists are almost 50% of the team's output in assists, which is fantastic if you're looking for a trio of freshmen to really lead this group. And that's without Aristode even being thrown in here. And Aristode's stats aren't they don't really contribute much in terms of that, but defensively he's been solid as well. So all 4 of them contribute at a high level. And I swear the crazy thing is, Corey, it's like the rest of the country somehow forgets that these are 3 freshmen in the starting lineup for the number 1 team in the country. Like, not very often do you see that. We saw that last year with Duke, but it's very rare that you will see that kind of output. And even with Duke, I would say with Flagg and Kneppel, those 2 guys played about 30 minutes a game. Okay. Maluach didn't. Maluach was basically at like that 20 range. Okay. So it's a significant difference when you're talking about these 3 guys, because these guys are all carrying 25 plus minutes a game. And that's significant, Corey.
It is. And you got to credit Tommy Lloyd. Both Duke and Arizona are systems. Regardless of how the play looks, believe me, there's a hierarchy and there are rules and there is an offensive pecking order. And with Arizona, it starts with Krivas and it starts with Koa Pete. Both of those players get double teamed by everyone. And when that happens, now you've got straight line drives to the basket. You've got wide open threes. And if all else fails, you got Jaden Bradley who can just pull rabbits out of his hat anytime he wants. But make no mistake about it, Arizona plays inside out. And when you have an 8-man rotation and you're making sure that nobody's playing more than 30 minutes, I watch the juggling that Tommy Lloyd does with the foul count. He's always looking at the foul count and how can I make sure I have all 8 guys available down the stretch. We are literally outlasting people. And because we're so good, that last 7 minutes when your guys have foul trouble and are gassed and our guys are fresh and they're not in foul trouble, then like you see what happened. They jump a 12-0, they finish strong and outplay you by 15 down the stretch. But the goal is to keep that whole 8-man unit available for the last 8 minutes. And Tommy's done a masterful job of that. Nobody needs to play more than 30 minutes. And he's done a good job of moving everybody around. So when you see the productivity, you see the minutes per game, yes, they're 3 freshmen, but I'm not going to sit here and act like their success isn't interconnected to the big picture, because it absolutely is. We've seen games where Koa Pete had 4 or 5 points because the double team was all game, and he is a basketball player. He's going to make a basketball play. He's not worried about how many points he scores. It's harder to double team Burries or Bradley because they're facing the defense and they have the ball in their hand. So I think these freshmen are definitely more impactful than the freshmen from Duke last year. They play the same amount of minutes, but they are having a bigger effect. And Burries in transition, when it's a long rebound, when you turn it over, he has the green light. If he's dribbling the ball and crosses half court, he's going to take his chances attacking the rim. And I mean, how many and ones or layups or free throws has he drawn and created just in transition? That's something he wasn't doing the first 5 or 6 games of the year.
Yeah, it's driving with intention, driving with purpose, and forcing them to make the play on you, as opposed to, sometimes, listen, guys will drive aggressive to the basket, but sometimes they're worried about the contact and they miss the objective of the play, which is to score, right? I think Burries has transitioned from what he was doing. He was doing that at the beginning of the year. He's transitioned over to now, like, I'm going to score, and they're going to have to try and stop me. And if I see the contact close enough, I'm going to try and finish. But I know I'm going to draw that contact as well to try and get that foul, instead of just worrying about the foul and trying to get the foul first. It's score first, then foul, instead of foul, then score. And I think that's been a big shift in his play as well, which I love to see.
Yeah, I
didn't know if you're going to add to that or not. So.
No, you're right. I mean, he doesn't play. That's a part of the evolution of your game when the refs become invisible. You don't even think about them. If they call it, cool. If they don't, I don't care. I'm getting the bucket. Oh, you called the foul? Fine, I'll shoot the free throw. But I am not even worried about whether or not you call anything. He's already matured to that point. I remember playing internationally where I had to hit the weight room and I had to get it in my head that I was never going to get a whistle. And once that switch flipped in my brain, my game just went to a whole nother level because I didn't care about fouls. I learned how to score whether you call a foul or not. Burries is doing the exact same thing. He's worried about being effective. He's not worried about trying to get contact or flopping for the refs or crying or any of that. And it's so great that has been removed from his game, because now you've got your hands full. You got a young player who can jump out the gym. He's quick as hell. He has a great outside shot. And Saul, he has no hesitation in his game, and his confidence is through the roof. This is where you want to be 20 games in. This is right where you want to be.
Yeah. Don't get choked up. It's okay. It's all right. Like, this is emotional. I know. Like, hey, we all we're all feeling some type of way. I will say this, all the way up until this point, I think I won't say that we've all been kind of complacent, because we've all been excited, and there's been some big wins that we've championed. I do feel like after that ASU win, and knowing that after Oklahoma State, we have Kansas on the road at Kansas, and just a plethora of big games coming up, which we'll talk about in a second. I do feel the vibe across the country in Tucson has now gone up to that next level, in my opinion. I will just say this: walking around the Phoenix Open today, I was wearing an Arizona hat at least 10 times. Bear down, bear down, bear down, bear down, all around the course. I do feel it ratcheting up. And there's a video from last night's Meet the Team event that just blew me away. This is a signing event at the bookstore, and the line was absolutely insane. Kevin, go ahead and roll it.
That's insane. It's a lot of people.
Hey, just so you know, that's the lines to the bathroom at the Waste Management Open tomorrow. So get ready. I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible. I had that caught me off guard when I saw that. I didn't realize it was going to be popping like that at the bookstore, and that many people were going to be craving just to meet the guys and get autographs and take pictures and stuff like that. They've hit a nerve in Tucson, and I think this nerve is different than all the previous teams that have been good. And you're just kind of hoping, like, this is a big moment for this school. Like, they got to get past this threshold of not being able to get back to a Final Four, and this just feels like it's the biggest opportunity we've had since 2001.
Well, the rankings and the media attention, that's for the fan base. That's something that the fans enjoy. You saw the turnout to meet the players. Being a player from the Olsen era, living in Tucson, I can tell you that there are so many different layers of the Arizona Wildcat fan. You've got the diehard fan that's lived in McKale Center for the last 30 years and never given away their tickets. You have the fan that goes to the sports bar religiously or watches on their couch and maybe hasn't gone to a game or goes to a game here or there. You've got the fan who started watching Arizona in the early 2000s and is a huge Richard Jefferson fan and Sean Miller fans. And now you've got the Tommy Lloyd era. So you've got all these people coming up under this number one ranking umbrella. And that's how you end up with the line that you had. You had all those types of people in that line because you're right. The number one ranking is for the fans. I remember a scene. I love watching The Simpsons. And there's a scene where Homer enters a steak eating competition. And they ring the bell and they start to eat, and Homer's sitting there and he's putting butter on the roll, and Marge yells out, "Homer, don't fill up on the bread, eat the steak." And I'm like, that's the number one ranking. It's the bread, Saul. I don't care. I mean this from the bottom of my heart.
Sure.
It doesn't matter. It's great for us to go up to Phoenix, and I'll be wearing my U of A hat if I go up there tomorrow. It's great for us to stunt on ASU fans and make memes and talk trash and wear our colors and be proud. And it's a great feeling for us, but it was never on our preseason checklist. And It's still not. So for me, I love it. I say, talk all the trash you can, text all your Sun Devil friends, wake up every morning and just click on that AP poll link and sit back and fold your arms and look at that big block A and enjoy it. Because I tell you what, Arizona, would you say Arizona's head and shoulders above Gonzaga?
Hell yeah.
You would?
Did you watch these bums last night lose to Portland?
We sit in a different opposite. We sit at opposite ends of the spectrum.
My
sit
God.
at opposite ends of the spectrum.
Head and shoulders, yes.
Head and shoulders above Gonzaga. Just not even in the same league.
Yes.
Arizona at Gonzaga, Wildcats are favored. In your mind, by how much?
Probably like 5.
I could see that. But they're not 20 points better than Gonzaga. Gonzaga will be a Sweet 16, Elite 8 team. They will. They are.
Okay, that's fine. But what I saw last night is not reflective of a top 10 team.
But that's my whole point. That's my whole point. I had Oklahoma State at Utah. I saw the kid Roy hit 7 threes. I saw BYU go to Stillwater and get rocked. I can't stress this enough, people. It is not going to be this cakewalk that everybody's enjoy it. It happens. It's basketball. What I'm saying is,
what he's saying it is.
But what I'm saying is, we can't just sit here and be like, oh, we got Oklahoma State at home, and then everybody's texting me at halftime because the score is tied. What's wrong with us? There's nothing wrong with us. Teams are good. Coaches are good. And we're just better right now. We're a few points better than UConn. We were a handful of points better than UCLA. We beat the hell out of Auburn and Alabama. You see what I'm saying? But and we've handled all of our business in the Big 12. And we could talk about what lies ahead for Arizona. But yeah, we are in a great spot. I don't know. Maybe it's the pessimist in me. Maybe it's the player in me. Maybe it's the analyst in me. I know Arizona's the number one team in the country. I know Arizona's better than most teams 1 through 10. But I know that it's a very thin margin. But people it's just words because it is what it is. They haven't been beaten. So
well, yeah. Listen, I totally agree with you. I listen. What I'm saying earlier was just to be
before I rambled off topic.
Before you went off the cliff, I'm like, my guy, who hurt you?
No,
Like,
I'm just keeping it.
Listen, you. Trust me. In deep down in my stomach, there is this valley of fear that exists, and it won't go away until they get back to the Final Four. Because I know that potentially, if they get to the Elite Eight and they got to play a Houston, a UConn again, or some of these teams that we know are dogs, like it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a cakewalk, and it's not going to be an automatic qualifier to get into the Final Four. It is going to be a bloodbath. It is for every team that gets to that point, right? And if they don't do it, I already know. Big, huge letdown. This team was 22-0 or 23-0 or 25-0. Like everybody's going to fall off the cliff. Like, it's just going to be the worst thing ever. I know that. And so, but with that, what I want to say is,
go ahead.
What I want to say is, we have to live in the moment.
For sure. Absolutely.
What I would say is we got to harness the spirit of Tommy Lloyd right now and just take it one game at a time, baby.
Absolutely. And the beauty
Oklahoma State is not going to be easy. I know.
And the beauty, they got some guards that can play. I think our guards will shut them down, and I don't think they have, Fowler is a good big. Is he better than Krivas? No. But can he hold his own and bang? Absolutely. Roy, he's going to be jacking. He's going to need to hit threes, but he can make them. I don't want to do a pregame on Oklahoma State right now. Forget that. We'll save that for another time. I'm going to say this because I think I was, cup half empty, but now let me tell people how I really feel. Arizona, after 22 games, has proven one thing to me that I know, and I know it as well as I know my own first name. The only people that can beat Arizona are the damn referees. Because if they let Arizona play real basketball, and you don't call chicken, what fouls on our bigs early in the game to keep it even, they will blow the doors off of every other team in the country because they want it and nobody wants it like we do. So I know that every game is going to be a fight, but I want to make it clear. I don't think there's another team that's going to go toe-to-toe and be as physical as we are for 40 minutes. Not Michigan, not Gonzaga, not Houston. I don't care who you go get. They're not ready to get in the trenches with Toby. They're not ready to get in the trenches with Krivas. They can't stay in front of Jaden. They're not going to play Koa one-on-one. I mean, Krishenkov can get to the rack. Like, Arizona has proven to me that they are head and shoulders above everybody else, as long as we're playing a regular basketball game. But you start that stuff with the cheap fouls in our 8-man rotation, you can make the game really close. You can put one arm behind our back and make Krivas sit down with 4 fouls with 16 minutes to go. You could do some crap like that if you wanted to. We still end up winning the game, but it ain't pretty. But when everybody's available and no foul trouble, ain't nobody beating Arizona. And I stand on that.
I mean, listen, I believe you. Kevin is okay. All right, that's a pretty good dunk. He just sent us something. Anyway, I will say this. To your point, I agree. I agree with you. All things considered, all things even, Arizona should be able to beat just about anybody in the country. I agree with that.
Yeah.
What I would also say is that when it comes to tournament time, and this is something we've already seen bear out, is because you have 4 of your 8 players as freshmen, especially 2 of them and then the two I'm going to point out is not Burries and Aristode. It's Koa Pete and Ivan Karchenkov. What I've seen from those two, in addition to the vets, and as a byproduct, it is kind of transfused into Burries and Aristode, is this calmness, this collectiveness, and this understanding that this, like that championship DNA that people talk about, right? It's just, there's just something about these guys that are different than most freshmen. I'm looking at the freshmen, like, just for instance, like AJ DeBanza, right? Like, the moment almost felt like it might have been too big for him against Arizona because he was forced in the game too much and he wasn't working with what everything else was going into it. And that's, to me, I was just like, I'm not impressed by this, because Koa was kind of, you know, struggling at first, and then he kind of got grooving, and then he just played a balanced game because he knew he didn't have to force anything. He could just let his teammates do the rest if he wasn't on, or if his teammates needed him to be on, he can be on, like he was against ASU. Same thing with Braden Burries. Braden Burries was fantastic in the first half against BYU. Didn't have to do much in the second half. Now, when things started to fall apart, like they know where they need to go, like Jaden and Braden to hit free throws and stuff like that. But I just feel like the balance, more than anything else, is very apparent, not only physically and athletically, but also emotionally and mentally. I think there's a lot of balance with this team, which is very unusual for a freshman squad like these three or these four.
And that's the last part that I want to stress. This is a different team. They call themselves the Gritty Boys. Gritty Boys. They're not afraid. And I think the brilliance of that philosophy, being the Gritty Boys, is they're comfortable with the trenches. They're comfortable with a close game. They're comfortable with a battle. They're comfortable with scrapping and pushing and fighting for every point, every rebound, every foul. They don't mind that. They embrace the struggle. Most teams, when they hit the wall and hit the struggle, they go the opposite way and fall apart. This Arizona team almost has a weird sociopath type of frame of mind where they're like, yo, bring us the fight. We don't want to win pretty. We don't care about the score. We don't care what you're ranked. We don't care where the game is. It's what the old folks used to call baptism by fire. Their first game was against the defending national champions in a neutral site. That's your welcome to college basketball. So when you've seen these environments and now you're stacking one new place on another and one new team, and yeah, they got to go to Kansas, and yeah, they've got games against other teams, but they've seen it all at this point. It'll be different jerseys and different names, but as far as intensity, they've seen it all, and they're comfortable being down 6 or 7 and clawing their way back. They're comfortable with you making a furious run in the last 60 seconds and still walking out of there with a dub. Like, they got battle scars, they're tested, and they actually like that stuff. And coaches wish they had players that embraced the struggle, because that's very rare. And not to get off on a tangent, but how does Portland beat Gonzaga? You match the NIL budget of Gonzaga against whatever they handing out in Portland. That should have been
It's a free education, Corey.
How do you lose? And I tell you how you lose: when your kids aren't locked in and not playing for something greater than the NIL money or the fame and fortune. I don't know mentally, because I saw a little bit of the game, and if I get the time, I want to go back and watch it, because I have to find out as an analyst how in 40 minutes you don't somehow get up and close these guys out. Regardless of the crazy night the one kid had, it still should have never happened.
Your point about ASU, when the rubber met the road, they fell apart, right?
Yeah, they had a lot of foul trouble, but yeah,
with Gonzaga, it was the same thing. About 14, I caught the game about the 15-minute mark on, and it was still a close game. And it just looked like it didn't even matter what Portland was doing. On the offensive side for Gonzaga, there was absolutely zero continuity. There was no chemistry. They didn't know what the hell they were doing any given. Were they going inside? Were they chucking up threes? Sometimes some guys were taking off-balance shots for no reason. Like, it was just all over the place. To that regard, a very un-Gonzaga-like performance. But we haven't seen that from Arizona, right? So, like, when you compare the two, you're just like, man, like, what were they doing? It's like they had no process in this moment. It was pretty crazy.
And I think this Arizona team, they don't get rattled. They never let go of the rope. And they're playing for something beyond style points. because a lot of times when things don't go right on the road, you know, some guys just kind of pack it in. And I'll be honest with you, I watch a lot of game tapes trying to see the teams that pack it in and the teams that fold and the teams that throw the game away and stop focusing. And there are some teams out there that do it, and the coaches talk about it in the post-game pressers. But yeah, Arizona embraces the struggle. They're mentally tough. They know who they are. They're only 8 deep, but 8 is all they need. And they get something from everyone. And like you said, all the different leading scorers night after night, never the same guy, but post-game interview, it's all the guys standing behind whoever the player of the game is doing the interview. That's awesome. That's wonderful basketball.
You know who else did that?
Who's that?
The defending NBA champions, the Oklahoma City Thunder. They kind of started that.
Yeah.
You know, with the whole group behind them and doing the interviews and stuff like that, because it is about team. And I do like that they've kind of taken on that kind of personality. There is a question in the chat from Deborah, Deborah Owens, longtime follower. Appreciate you. She asked, what are your thoughts on JB? And my thoughts are he's still as electric and as awesome as ever. I mean, if you didn't know, this is that's right. In the clutch, call a 1-800-CLOSER because JB is that dude that will shut you down at the end of the games. He is the one that we go to. And this is the widely and nationally and worldwidely known JB podcast, just so we all know. Like, that's
I mean,
it's been like that since day one.
It was like that. I remember the game they went down against Clemson, and he was the only one fighting at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, this kid's different.
Mm-hmm.
He's different. His attitude needs to be elevated, and he needs to become the leader of the program, because the kid that is fighting his first year in a uniform to not have his season end is that's the mentality everybody else should have had. And you and I know, you know, even in the Miller era, we had some guys that had just kind of felt like they were passing through on their way to go to the league. You know what I mean? He wants wins, not wins because it's going to make him money, not wins because it's going to help him get to the league. He wants wins because he's the old school hooper. Plain and simple. He just wants to win. So that mentality is the full mentality of the whole team now. Yeah. Let's be honest, we got freshmen that aren't going to be here next year.
Yeah.
But you can't tell by the way they hooping. They out here going after it like, I want to beat ASU. This is my second game of the rivalry. I played them 8 times. They're only going to play them twice, and they hate them just as much as I did. That's insane. So the culture starts at the top. Bradley, selfless, the ball's in his hand, and he doesn't care who does the job as long as it gets done.
No, it doesn't matter.
That is so cool when your leader leads by example and your leader fosters the good mentality and the good behavior of all the other players on the team.
There's a reason why he gets the loudest ovation during intros at games. It's because everybody in the arena understands the value of a three-year Arizona Wildcat, but also a senior in the program. They value that. Everybody in Arizona values that. I think most college programs want players that will be around for a couple years. And listen, we got a little bit lucky with Jaden Bradley that you know he came to us at the right time, and he kind of hit these metrics of growth, and didn't really feel it necessary to go to the NBA. And you know, and listen, he's making some money here too, so that's great. But the thing about Jaden Bradley is like, when you look at his face in the middle of a game, you would not be able to tell if they were up by 10 or down by 10. It's just, it's all business all the time. It does not matter. But I will say this, when that clock hits 5 minutes,
you're in trouble.
Coming down the stretch,
you're in trouble.
Yo, if it's a close game, you know where the ball's going.
You're in trouble.
And the crazy thing is he's not really forcing it. He's not doing fadeaway jumpers and falling back. Nothing crazy. He's just like, all right,
get to the spot, hit his shots. And we're heaping a lot of praise on Jaden Bradley, but I'd be remiss to not tip my hat to his parents. Obviously, an outstanding job as parents when you raise a young person with that kind of temperament. And I'll say this, for all the things he does on the court, he does 10 times as much in the community.
Well,
and most people go ahead.
It's funny that you say that, because last week we did we kind of skirted through something, and I don't know if Kevin can pull it up, but it doesn't matter if he can or not. But, in the off season, he worked with the Rochester Boys and Girls Club back home from where he's from, and did a basketball camp, and he loves working with those kids and stuff like that because he was one. He came up through that program, and he's given back to his community. He does things around the Tucson area as well. Like, if you don't know what Jaden Bradley's all about, folks, I'm telling you, you got to find out more, because he is always involved. He loves being able to help the community. He doesn't have to pump it up. He just does it on the DL, kind of quiet. He goes about his business because it means more to him that he's giving back to the community than him getting recognition for it. That's why when you talk to him in the preseason about all these awards and him being shafted and not getting his love, he don't care, because he knew when the season starts, they're going to see. And man, 5 minutes left to go in that ASU game, I leaned over to Chris Brown, which is AZ Bandcats, and I was just like, Jaden Bradley bucket coming up right here in about 15 seconds. Sure enough, like clockwork.
Yeah.
Midi, boom. And he hit like 3 of the next 4, and that basically cemented the game. He's a unique individual. And the reason why I say that this is a Jaden Bradley Stand podcast is not because of just his heroics on the court. It's because of the individual he is. And to your point, his parents have a tremendous amount to do with that. And I love the kid. I think he's got a bright future in tow, and hopefully, down the stretch in these last, maybe 15 games, we will be able to see him be able to bear the fruits of his labor. Because I will say this, just like you, against Clemson, I was sitting there courtside as media watching that game and feeling like, is anybody going to do anything out here tonight against this team that I feel like we should be just mollywopping? How is Kashad Johnson not just dominating these dudes? And Caleb Love, and the only dude that I felt like stepped up was Jaden Bradley. And he did not care who was in front of him. He was trying to will that team to win and doing everything he could. And that game, to your point, was when I was just like, he might be my new favorite player.
Yeah.
Because I really like what he's all about.
I've been the same for for a number of years, and I won't add anything else to what you said. I just love to see the good guys win, and he's a good guy. So I'm rooting for good guys to win.
Absolutely. We do have a super chat from a Bridge Tech Communications. Oh, maybe we got a sponsor on the show. I don't know what's going on. We simply pop the trunk against teams when we need it. You're damn right we do. And listen, hey, pop the trunk is becoming a worldwide phenomenon.
I'm having regrets.
No, I love it. Hey, listen, when Jaden's dad hit me up and told me, hey, pop the trunk, I was like, oh, okay, we got it now. So
yeah,
right there, pop the trunk. You know what I mean? So we love that. Also, don't think I don't see y'all in the chat talking about my crisscross applesauce game. Okay, and we got people in here like, oh, this is what Saul looks like when he's not sitting courtside. Like, I sit courtside every game or something like that. Like, it was a once in a time moment, and it was pretty cool. So this is 3DMK saying, first time checking out the Thursday show. I thought Saul was only courtside. This is awesome. So yeah, appreciate that. And then Owen Leonard earlier. What I do love is when you were coughing. Oh man, I lost it. Oh well, it's all right. He had a pretty good comeback for you, so we'll get back to it another time. Anyway, Oklahoma State. Somebody said, "Is this a trap game?" I said, "Normally, I would say, oh yeah, there you go." He said, "Don't cry, dry your eyes."
No, wow. Okay.
Somebody said, is this a trap game? And somebody on Facebook had said that they thought it was a trap game. And I was like, you know what? I think normally you could say that this is a trap game, especially if Arizona was going on the road to Oklahoma State after playing 2 home games. But I don't feel like that'll be the case this time, just because, listen, they've had a whole week off. They're probably itching to get back on the court because, Corey, midway through the season, we got practice and drills, and this is like, oh, bro, why? I just want to play right now. I just want to hoop, right? These guys are built a little different, so I won't say that they're probably like that, but I'm sure they're itching to get back in front of the fans in McKale after the 2-game road trip and sweeping BYU and ASU, and and hopefully beating the Cowboys and moving to 23-0 and on to bigger and better things. I'm sorry, 24 now.
I'm gonna just say this: if Portland can beat Gonzaga, then anything is a damn trap game. Any game is a trap game. Anthony Roy can play. Curry is a solid guard. The point guard, Kanye Clary, very nice with the ball. We are going to have to move our feet out front on defense. That's just a fact. Now, I had the game against Utah. I saw the game home against BYU. What is that? Back-to-back wins. They're feeling like the open, for people who don't know television, the 30-second open for the Utah game was Oklahoma State needs to move into the top part of the Big 12. They need a signature road win, something to keep Lunardi thinking about them. They are really on firm ground after their home win against BYU in terms of postseason play. I'm not going to say they're playing with house money because I don't think they're in just yet, but win at Utah, the home win against BYU, I don't think they're coming into McKale Center with any kind of pressure on them at all. They did the work last night. Yeah. So they're like, if we just show well at Arizona, Lunardi and the systems and the analytics is gonna benefit us that way. So their knees won't be knocking. They're looking at this as an opportunity. Are they favored? No, they're not favored in McKale Center.
They have a very favorable second half of the season coming up.
Yeah.
They after they play Arizona, they got to play at ASU. They play Kansas at home, which is hey, listen, that's a gettable game if you play right. At Colorado, home against West Virginia, at Cincinnati, at UCF, that might be a tough one, and then home against Houston. So nothing easy, but the tough games they have at home outside of this one on Saturday. So they got a pretty good legit shot to be able to be in that upper echelon, because the only team that's in front of them right now, there's several teams in front of them, but the team that I'm looking at the most is BYU, because they're 5-4.
You see what I'm saying?
Virginia, who's at 6-4.
Anthony Roy is a senior, 6'5". He's been everywhere. He is not scared. If I'm Anthony Roy, this is my get NBA scouts to notice me game. And I mean that with all sincerity. He dropped 30 at home against BYU. If he can get 25 at Arizona, knowing that there's probably a dozen scouts at every Arizona game just because we're loaded that way, I tell you, this that stuff behind the scenes that we as players used to talk about all the time. Like, I wouldn't say we would pick and choose which games we try to show out, but we were well aware of the opportunities. And coming into Arizona after two big wins against BYU, having a big game, you're going to be guarded by – the odds are you're going to be guarded by a freshman. Just keep that in mind, folks. Their 30-point scorer is going to be guarded by a freshman, a superstar freshman, but a freshman nonetheless. But Arizona can beat them up in the trenches, and I think that's where the game will turn. They just aren't that deep in the paint. Now, they'll double team, they'll trap, and we've got to figure out ways to make the game easy for ourselves. But I, for one, won't be able to watch the game because I'll be working that night. So we'll see how it goes.
What game you got on Saturday?
I have UC Irvine at UC Santa Barbara in the Big West. I'll be out in Santa Barbara, California. Matter of fact, I leave tonight or tomorrow night.
All right. Well, hey, listen, don't go to a
I will have the Arizona game on my phone off to the side, though.
Listen, I know you're an Arizona guy, but there's a bar called the Wildcat, and I suggest you do not go there. Just
okay.
So you know.
All right. Thank you. Good.
Listen.
It don't sound like what
you can go there. You can have a good time, but I don't think you're going to find what you were really looking for.
It don't sound like what it sounds like. That's I already know you, so I'm not going there. I already know you.
So I used to be stationed out in Central California for training, and we ran into some people. They're like, "Hey, y'all come to the Wildcat with us," and walked in, and I was just like, "Oh, all right, yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy my drink and dance a little bit, but it is what it is." So
you gotta be careful.
Listen, I hear you on Anthony Roy. He's a very good player for sure. But what I will also say is this: I told you earlier, based on the metrics, who was the one team out of the top 6 of the Big 12 that was the most at risk for getting bounced in the first round upset-wise? BYU. Because The defensive prowess is just not at a high level whatsoever. And that will be their downfall. When you look at Oklahoma State, they took advantage of that and they beat them. When you look at Arizona and them coming in, I if he puts out and if he shows out, hey, good for him. Good job. Hey,
it may not be enough. He may go for 30, but I don't know if it'll be enough.
He might, but it better be an efficient 30, because if it's, a 6 for 24 points kind of game like AJ DeBonsa, they're going to get run out of the gym.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's got to be an efficient 30, and that there are different 30s out there in the basketball world, and they got to make sure that they have a calculated one, if you know what I mean. So, all right, let's take a look. Since we talked about the back nine of this schedule, we are now officially on the back nine of the season in the Big 12. This is a list of the teams from Arizona, Houston, Iowa State, and Kansas, who we consider the top four, the big dogs. BYU has fallen off to a certain degree. Still relevant, especially at home, but Arizona has 6 games against ranked opponents as we speak today. Now, BYU, by the time they play them again, who knows if they'll be ranked, but the rest of the teams, you could probably be certain that they will. Kansas twice, which starts Monday, big Monday at Kansas, big time game. The other teams have less than 6. Houston only has 4. Iowa State has 5, and Kansas has 4. But Kansas obviously has twice against Arizona. The way the standings are right now, you will be hard-pressed to not look at those and think, ooh, you know what? Things are getting a little interesting here, because when you're looking at these standings, I think what you're going to see is all it's going to take is like maybe 1 or 2 more losses by any of these teams before they're mathematically almost out of it. Right now, there's only, I would say, 3 teams that have a legitimate shot, and even one of those is probably iffy in Texas Tech. Texas Tech, 3 losses. You have to have Arizona go 6-3 down the stretch, and one of those losses has to be to you. That's a tough thing to ask, right? So I would say that mathematically, the hardest road by far. Everybody else below them is out, in my opinion, because Arizona's not going 5-4. I'm sorry, that's just not happening. Not based off of what we've seen so far. Kansas, Iowa State, Houston. Kansas and Iowa State with two losses apiece. Kansas has got 2 games against Arizona, and the way that Darren Patterson has been playing, man, he only plays 20 minutes a game, and good God, those 20 minutes are the most electric in college basketball. And if you didn't see him, show out against Texas Tech, he made Texas Tech look like they were point shaving. It was crazy because he just went off in that last stretch and really rallied them to a win that they had no business winning that game. No business winning that game. So it's right there. And then obviously Houston with 1 loss, that's probably the most obvious one. But when you look at the back 9, give me one game that you feel like will determine everything in that back 9.
At Houston?
For Arizona, yeah.
At Houston. If Arizona wins at Houston, that puts 3 games of separation between them, regardless of what they do in the remaining games. Arizona has 4 of those 6 games at home. So if they win at home, the only way they can hurt themselves is to lose against Houston, who's the closest to them. You put 2 games of separation between yourself and Houston. Houston has some games that they probably could drop as well. Arizona, if they could win at home, obviously if they win at home and win at Houston, then they've won 5 out of the final 6 and they walk away with it clear. But Arizona can afford to lose a couple of games as long as they don't lose to Houston. They win at Houston, they can still lose a couple of games and they'll still be the league champs. So for me, league champs of the Big 12, yes, it's an emotional accomplishment. I want to see it. I want to be the Big 12 champs this year. Tournament champs, yeah, we'll take it. Why not? I mean, win it on Saturday, Selection Sunday, we're a 1 seed, most likely.
Going to San Diego.
Yeah, so we're staying on the West Coast. We're a 1 seed. Everything is lovely. I just want it for bragging rights. The number 1 ranking, hey, they got to rank somebody number 1. Fine, it's us. It's been us for a number of weeks. I'm cool with that. I would love for Tommy Lloyd to say, hey, 2nd year in the league and we won it. You know what I mean? We went to the tournament. We won that too. The crazy thing about the Big 12 is the champ gets the bid. So what you don't want is some off-brand team getting hot in Kansas City and stealing a bid that they're going to get in where maybe they weren't. Is there a crazy world where UCF, who maybe Lunardi has out of the tournament, wins the tournament in Kansas City? Maybe. It's highly unlikely, but it could happen. There's a bid stealer. Normally, though, the team that wins the tournament would have gotten in anyway. So it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you had more to go. I thought you were going to talk.
So, I'm just over here choking.
I got you. No, I agree. The path is obviously very favorable right now. They got to take care of business at home, and that starts on Saturday against Oklahoma State. And with that being said, folks, we do have one Kelvin Sampson bit that I think is relevant, but we didn't do it last week. And I felt like we needed to do kind of a double take on the real Hooper segment this week. And I know, listen, this isn't always a Tucson thing or Arizona thing, but I do want to I want to pay my respects to some real Hoopers from back in the day. Obviously, most of you all know about the 1966 Texas Western collegiate champions. Who started a black starting five against Kentucky and Adolph Rupp, and they won the national championship, which is great. This is the 60th anniversary of that, right? And it was terrific. However, there's a team that a lot of people don't talk about that preceded them and gave them the opportunity to be in that position in the first place and kind of showed the path, if you will. Don Haskins also, shout out. He was the head coach of that Texas Western team. And this is Tennessee A&I. Tennessee A&I is a historically black college, and at the time in the 40s and the early 50s, historically black colleges, despite petitioning the NCAA to try and get in, were not allowed to be in the NCAA tournament, and they were denied time after time again because of segregation and all this other stuff, right? As we know what was going on in the country. But the cool thing is that they, at the time, and a lot of people don't realize that the NAIA tournament was actually bigger than the NCAA tournament. Actually, the NIT was bigger than the NCAA tournament for a long stretch of time until like the 70s when it kind of flipped a little bit. But the NAIA said, listen, black colleges, if you want to run a tournament on your own, we will take the winner. So the NAIA would take the winner, and it was a big national tournament. And so it was called District 29. The winner of that tournament was the District 29 representative and was able to participate in the NAIA tournament. And Tennessee A&I was the first team to win a national championship by beating predominantly white schools at that time. And not only did they win it once, not only did they win it twice, they won it 3 times in a row from 1957 to 1959. And it was just an incredible feat. And it was so incredible that it took 60 plus years for them to finally get their due and their recognition as, making an impact on sports. And they were able to go to the White House, last year. Most of them were all in their 80s, and there was only a few of them left from that heyday. And I just thought, you know what, that's pretty cool to be able to recognize a group of individuals. And I promise you, people, it's not just black individuals. There's teams even in this state on the reservation that did tremendous things and never got the love that they deserve. And we're gonna touch base on those types of players. We're gonna talk about all the historical stuff. And listen, we don't. This is not a race thing. This is not a bias thing. This is about like Hoopers. Like if you balled and you didn't get recognized, or you balled and we just want to bring you up because most people forgot about you, we're gonna bring you up. And I think that's just dope. And so these guys and what they did was pretty cool.
And slightly off topic, but in the same vein, 6 Degrees of Lute Olson. Coach Olson always had such a tremendous regard for Coach John Wooden. Back in 47, Wooden refused to play in the NAIB tournament because of their policy on segregation. And a lot of people don't know that. But it was Coach John Wooden who took a stand back in 47, pulled his Indiana team, wouldn't let them play, refused the invitation to play. And that started a lot of the discussion, bringing it to a national level. He then went on to UCLA, where he became more of a legendary coach. And small trivia fact, I believe Pat Riley played on that Kentucky team.
He did.
Yeah, and he's a coach who went on to great success in the NBA and was part of that story with Adolph Rupp. Player from my hometown, Dan Issel, went on to Kentucky to play for Coach Rupp. Turbulent times, and we tend to think of sports as the melting pot these days, but if you can take your mind back to those times in the 40s and 50s, people loved the game, but the culture and society had a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, my dad grew up in that time, and as a deaf black man out of Shiro, Texas, going through the middle of all of that in the 50s and 60s, he can't really articulate to me like the magnitude of what it felt like because he didn't have to hear it. And so thank God for that to a degree. Obviously, it's a disability to and he's had that his whole life, but so the impact wasn't as brutal, but he could see faces and he could see the hate on a lot of people's faces when they would go on the road to play in different environments. And he made no bones about it. Like it was rough. And I can't even imagine being in a situation where you might have people or fans in the stands like threatening your life, and you got to focus on ball. Like
it's crazy,
man, super crazy, right? Outside of that, let's go to a far detraction from those days and the NIL era. And to wrap up the show, Kelvin Sampson remains your favorite coach's coach. And I think Tommy Lloyd would say great things about Kelvin Sampson. And yes, he's a Houston Cougar. And no, we don't like Houston. However, I do like what Kelvin Sampson represents. And let's see if Corey doesn't have an adverse reaction to what Kelvin Sampson says, like he did with John Calipari. But hey, Kelvin Sampson is here telling it like it is.
Now we participate in the NIL just like everybody else. We know what our kids' market value is. I mean, trust me, they're not starving here. They're getting exactly what the market is for them. But we have a very poor athletic department. We're poor. We're poor when I got here, and we're still poor. We probably have the lowest budget of anybody in Power 4. And the way our recruiting is going, we have to stop at some point because we don't have enough money to keep bringing in really good players. And that's not easy for us to do. People ask about recruiting. Teams that have the best recruiting classes usually have the most money. That's the way it is today. Like we know, we signed Akena and Arafan early. A lot of these kids we have will come back, but who knows what else we'll sign because of how much money we have. It's not about who do we want to sign, it's who can we afford to sign. And even though we've been doing this NIL thing, that it still feels funny for me to even say that. It's like a culture shock that's coming out of my mouth because for so many years it's illegal to do that. But it's legal now. That's why they call it NIL. Now it's legal.
Last question. We got a Chris in the back.
So, hey, first of all, that last part,
bars,
absolute bars. Now it's legal. I love it. NIL. Corey, you sent that to us and you wanted to touch on it. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so we got a lot to unpack, and I'll go quick. But if you listen quick, then I won't have to slow down for you to catch up. You understand what I'm saying? Look here. Kelvin Sampson is 19-2. He's got the number 8 team in the country, and he goes in a presser and says, we have the poorest athletic. We're poor as an athletic program. Why is he saying this? He's saying this because it's a humble flex. He wants you to know it's me, okay? I'm the chief, I'm the wizard, I'm the magician, I'm the one making this happen because we don't have no dough. We don't have the bread that the other schools have. So while we're sitting here at 19-2, number 8 in the country, I'm not going to say I'm the man, but you need to understand and get there yourself and realize what I'm doing with this poor budget. There are things that are going on beyond my control, and today's results are not indicative of future performance. We're getting there. We're getting it done right now with no budget. When he said we have the lowest budget of power forwards, what he's doing is he's reframing the conversation. He's trying to bring the casual Houston fan, the casual basketball fan into the real world. I need you people to understand what we're doing right now may not last. And the crazy thing about it, Saul, is we're talking about a great coach who's 70 years old. His net worth is probably approaching $20 million. He doesn't need to be coaching. He's not coaching for the money. He's in the give back phase of his life. He's trying to guide young men, get their careers popping, make sure they can achieve their goals and their dreams through the game of basketball that has already blessed him. If he stopped tomorrow, he's good. Not a lot of us can say if we stop doing what we're doing right now, we'd be good. But he's in that position. So why is he making that statement? Why are players like our coaches like him and Mick Cronin going on these rants and pressers? Because it's coaching is a fraternity. And what he's doing, when you're at the top, you have a responsibility to all your other coaching brothers that are just getting started. And they need to redo the landscape so that other coaches can have the career that he's having. Because what he's telling you is you're going to be judged on wins and losses. And now more than ever, wins and losses are tied to money. And great coaches are going to get snuffed out, run out of programs, crapped on by the media because they'll be financially hamstrung by their institution. The people that aren't getting out there and raising the money and helping you have a successful NIL, they don't do press conferences. They don't get talked about in ESPN. They don't get microphones and cameras shoved in their faces. The coaches do. So now he's trying to do the service at a time where he's the flag bearer for coaches. He's got the platform. He can say, guys, it's the wild, wild west. I'm sitting here at 19-2, ranked number 8 with no money. So if you love Houston basketball, get out your checkbook. If you're sitting there bashing, if we're broke at Houston, where do you think what do you think other people are looking around? Well, damn, what's my school doing? Because we ain't as good as Houston. And Houston is sitting there telling us they broke, that they're not in the running with the loot. So he's trying to, and that's honestly, it sucks because this should not be a coach's job. It shouldn't be his job to reset expectations and reframe the arguments, but they have to, because so many people don't understand that the NIL landscape with the portal is brutal. You've turned coaches into used car salesmen and GMs, and they don't want to be general managers. They don't want to be, presidents and owners of teams and having to be in this transactional situation. So I love everything he had to say. I think he was very transparent. I think he shocked a lot of people. I think putting Houston's financial business in the street probably didn't earn him a whole lot of favors, but somebody has to say it. And I know I brought up Mick Cronin, and Mick kind of talks about the kids and the culture. Kevin took more of a 10,000-foot view. But here's my thing. Tell me the one thing that they're saying that's not right. What are they saying that's wrong? They're telling the truth. A lot of people don't like to hear it. It rubs a lot of people the wrong way, but are they wrong? And so as a fan, you have to be like, man, Houston's 8th in the country. They only lost 2 games, and we're not paying like everybody else is paying. So what is he doing that other people doing?
5-4.
5-4, and the bands are getting $7 million.
Probably making more than the whole Houston squad.
You know it's a lot when you can't even say the whole word. You're getting $7 million. How much? He getting $7 million. And that's fine. And God bless him. I'm happy for him every time I see him. You getting generational wealth after one college basketball season? Love, God bless you, son. I wish we could get that for everybody. But the reality is the fan bases want wins. They want tournaments. They want Final Fours. They want banners to be hung. And the coaches are like, yo, we got the brand. We got the product. You're used to a certain level of performance, but now performance is tied to money. And I know I've kind of been going on here, but I want to give you this last thing. It used to be the kids went where the opportunity was, because the pot of gold was still at the end of the rainbow. The NBA pot of gold was at the end of the rainbow. So I've got to go to the school that's going to give me the playing time, play me at the right position, coached by the right coach. I got to go to the right environment. I got to go to the fertile soil so that I can grow and blossom and get to the pot of gold. That's what it used to be. that was you went where there were minutes. So recruiting was easy. You get this one kid, fine. We'll get this kid over here. You get this kid, we'll go get this kid. And it was a balance to this. I hate to be a Star Wars nerd, but the universe had balance.
Balance in the force.
There's balance in the force.
Yeah.
Now we can go get this kid and go get the other kid too. If we give him enough money, he'll come play and sit and play, 15 minutes a game for more money.
You got all these dark side fools wearing blue and white and BYU and Duke taking all the kids and paying all the money.
The 20-point per game kid that's going to knock you out of the tournament in March Madness at a mid-major is on your bench for a few $100,000 playing 8 minutes a game. That's what Jay Williams and I were talking about at our meeting earlier this year. That's the crazy part. The craziness that fans, the unpredictability of college basketball is going out the window because the kids that can pull it off are taking a whole bunch of money to be bench players. So when you do run up against that mid-major, they're depleted. They're 3 seniors that would have went for 20 and sent you packing on a buzzer beater in the first round of the tournament. They're all scattered out at big Power 5 teams coming off the bench for a lot of money. And so it's a different landscape. I love Kelvin Sampson. I love what he had to say.
Unless you're Portland.
If you're Portland, all you need is a wing and a prayer.
Chuck it up, and that's it.
And that's such a humiliating loss because as players, you got to eat that. Like, they don't have one player on that team that Gonzaga offered a scholarship to.
No, not
you don't have a little bit. Their travel budget, they're probably commercial flights, staying at the Red Roof Inn. They stay in hotels with adjectives in them: comfort, quality, red. You know what I'm saying? They staying at them adjective hotels. I don't stay at adjective hotels, Saul. If it say comfort or quality or got a color in it, I don't do that, man. I'm a grown man with money. I have a job. I have a job.
Hotel.
I ain't staying in no adjective hotel. You miss me with that.
Hey, man, don't be sleeping on Red Lion, man. That
you see Red Lion, all that, man, quality, and I don't do that stuff, man. Or
man,
if it got a
bougie ass, man. I was up. Hey, listen, I was at the Comfort Inn in Provo, and it was all right. It was,
and
all
you
right.
can miss me with them hotels with the prefixes. Anything that's La Quinta, I ain't staying in no la's or no adjectives, man. No, I'm not doing it, man. Not doing it.
All right.
You put me in them damn crime scene hotel rooms.
Hey, look at everybody. Hey, look at this dude with all that.
You just say the first 2 letters. He worked for ESPN. No, but they're cool. They're cool sometimes. I'm fighting a travel dispute with them right now. They don't want to upgrade me over like $18 on a. Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway. It is. I love the fact that the old coaches are looking out for the young coaches and they're telling the truth and they're trying to brace the fans and let the fans know you may love U of A, but if U of A run out of money, you ain't getting Cole Pete. You ain't getting Braden Burries. I don't care how much you love the school and how great Tucson is. If they don't have the money, you don't get the honey.
And that's why you get a dude on the squad, and I've been trying to tell Corey this all year, like Bryce. Because Bryce, hey, listen, relationship building, baby. We got to build the relationship. Hey,
true.
LeBron, clutch. I'm just saying, like.
No, I mean, yeah, there's definitely.
You hook us up.
It's definitely, you got to have great relationships. And the path to the NBA is definitely a lot wider than it used to be. You had to go to a blue blood to be considered. I mean, I'm thinking back 30 years ago when I came out in the draft, and it's still a lot of those schools are still powerhouse schools. But I'm sorry, did Indiana lose a football game this year?
Nope.
I had never heard of anybody on their team until like the last 3 or 4 weeks of college football. I was like, yo, who's the quarterback in Indiana?
Yeah.
Like, that's the new normal, So I still love college basketball. Shame on Gonzaga. They got a lot, and I got Gonzaga at Santa Clara next week. That's gonna be a good one.
Hey, Santa Clara's balling too.
You see what I'm saying? So St. Mary's, I got them too. There's some, Gonzaga didn't do themselves any favors. But Arizona, just keep handling business. Don't worry about what everybody else doing. You know what I'm saying? Stay focused.
I can't believe my man started the show with would Arizona boat race Gonzaga right after they lost at Portland.
No, I'm saying my point was the unthinkable took place in Portland.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Arizona's that far. That could never be us. Really, dog?
No.
Really?
Never say never to anything. For sure.
Yeah, we gotta stay. Hey, what I always say, proud but humble. That was what we Batavia, Illinois high school. That was our motto, proud but humble. You gotta stay proud but humble, baby. We're gonna fight. We're gonna try to kick your ass, but we're not gonna get cocky. We're not gonna get arrogant. We realize that we put on our shoes one at a time, just like everybody else.
Well, we were a little different. We were just Padres for life, so we didn't. Folks, sorry to keep you up past your bedtime, but we do appreciate you joining us on
Super Bowl. Who you got?
Seattle.
Yeah, okay. All right. Finish up. Mama, I just want to make sure you wasn't crazy.
We do appreciate we do have a super chat. Cool fact about Kelvin Sampson is he is a member of the Lumbee tribe. Another great show, guys. BTFD. See
That's
you
awesome.
next week. AZ Cats G 7163 with a $5 super chat. We do appreciate that. And thank you all for being in the chat today. I was checking it out all the way through the show. You guys were fantastic as always. Owens Leonard, Jacoby Cards.
Yes, Jacoby, Owen, Robert, appreciate you guys.
And listen, if we dismissed you and you were thinking about sponsoring us, but you own a La Quinta Inn or something, don't let Corey dissuade you. You just come and talk.
I'm not shooting no promos for no adjective hotels. I got to put my foot down.
We'll take care of you, I promise.
I will write a check myself before we take that money.
But we do appreciate all the love and support, and obviously we'll be back next week, next Thursday, I do believe. Corey, is your schedule allow next Thursday?
Yeah, I think it may be from a hotel and a cell phone, but I'll get a light and we'll figure it out.
We'll see. It'll be either Tuesday or Thursday. That's usually when we roll, but usually it's been Thursdays of late. So, but until next time, make sure you follow him at College Corey on Twitter and on Instagram, because I'm never calling it X. And then you can follow me at Saul_Bookman, same on both. And you can follow at Kevo Posts. Listen, Kevin's been doing he's been doing the
Great
Lord
work. Great work.
Doing some fantastic work. The Ivan Konchenkov interview, you should check that out on PHNX_Wildcats. They did a fantastic job. That was a really cool interview. Ivan loved them so much that he wants to come on anytime that they want. That's how good these guys are. That's how good they have it. And as we promised before, we are still trying to work on some guests. So I'm just I'm trying to nudge this guy over here.
I'm gonna make some calls, see who we can get. See what we can take care of.
Yeah. So Anyway, we do appreciate y'all. Make sure.
Real quick, Corey, they are honoring the 2001 team this weekend, so maybe some calls could get put in. I don't know.
What did 2001? What did 2001? What did they do? They lost to Duke in the Final Four.
Lost to Duke. Yep. So Gilbert Arenas, Richard Jefferson, Channing or not Channing Frye, Lauren Woods.
I know Channing out of that group, and I know Richard a little bit.
Channing's not in that group.
No, I know Richard a little bit out of that group.
I know Richard too.
What about Luke Walton? Luke Walton was in that group too.
Luke Walton was in that group too. Yep.
Yeah, he signed with LA Gear, so he disqualified. I can't associate it. He did LA Gear.
Is that a prefix? Is that La Gear?
That's a woman's aerobic shoe. He was out there trying to hoop in. I can't.
Hey man, Karl Malone had them catapults, man. They were fire.
Now you just losing points. Now you just saying anything because the show's over.
Hey, I got British Knights in my closet right now.
BKs are different. BKs, that was a fashion shoe with some jeans. BKs, you was the man in the 90s with BKs on.
And Kevin's saying that Chancellor Johnson, if you don't know who Chancellor Johnson is, he's the one that did the interview with Tommy Lloyd for the Big 12 this week. Chancellor is a fantastic human being. He's one of my favorite people. He actually was an intern for me at Fox Sports Arizona.
I didn't know that.
He's my guy. He's an ASU grad, so you can hold that against him. And he's also from the Houston area, so that's two double whammies. But nonetheless,
shout out to Chrissy. That's my U of A. We go to the games and sit courtside. She's watching, so I wanted to shout out Chrissy.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
And make sure if you see us in the arena, holler, because we'll say hi. We're nice people, I promise you. And we got some things in the works for down the road too, for the tournaments and stuff like that. We're trying to figure out, can we do a watch party? Can we do a get together, stuff like that. we'll make it all happen. We'll figure it all out. But until next time, folks, we do appreciate y'all. Give us some love on social and on YouTube. And until next time, peace and bear down. Love y'all.
We all silly like the mayor.